Hello and welcome to Business Today. I am Siddharth Zarabi and you're watching Easynomics. On today's episode, we have a subject which is slightly different from what we do usually, from the macro to what perhaps excites you a lot, that is India's national passion, cricket. And with me today, Nikhil Naz, the consulting editor for sports at India Today, one of the foremost experts on the subject. Nikhil, welcome to the show. Easynomics is meant to make things easy.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the massive numbers of IPL, and I'm not just talking about the viewership, it's the big bucks that the big boys of business are putting on the table. Nikhil, take it from here. Tell us what's really happening. Who has won the TV and digital rights for the IPL?
Right. While the BCCI haven't confirmed this, but I could reliably tell you, having spoken to a few people there, that it's been divided. So the first thing that you notice is the first time in the history of the IPL, you'll have two different broadcasters. That will be divided between television and digital. Up until now, you had the same player have both the TV and digital rights. For the first time, different broadcasters. So there'll be a more, free market of sorts. So there'll be competition within as to who's doing better. This pull from digital versus TV, trying to pull away those linear audiences to you. So there's going to be an internal competition within two broadcasters, which never happened in the IPL. So TV, as we're getting to here, Sony has got the right. They make a comeback after having the rights for the first 10 years.
Yes.
So they made a return. I know that Sony and Zee bid differently, but I think a lot of it, you have to just look at the whole, balance of power as it was shifting towards Zee and Sony also merging together. While that merger is still yet to take place, I think it's been agreed on. And so that may have played a role why Sony has come back in such a bigger
Sony's
manner.
come back with the TV rights
With the TV
after a decade.
After 5 years. They had it for a decade.
They had it for a decade and after 5 years. And the digital play is by Zee.
No, so digital's gone to Viacom 18,
Viacom
which
18.
essentially means it will be on Voot, which is their OTT platform.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people were talking that maybe Jio comes into the whole scenario and maybe they're trying to get their subscriber base growing. Having spoken to a few experts, I think that Jio's already achieved. Maybe, and you'd know better, maybe because of, their price points and they've really got, how the network was.
Let's go there, but let's come back to the price that has been paid by these bidders. Now, remember, viewers, this is an auction done electronically, and it's obviously in very simple ways an ascending bid auction. You must have heard lots of terms about the Swiss auction method and others. Yeah. This is simple. Till it's done, you keep doing escalating rounds and there are certain parameters, but we'll not get into it. But what seems to be of great interest is the headline number. 410 matches, and each match, a per match cost of upwards of 107 crore. Do the math, closer to 45,000 crore, that's around $5 billion. The rupee is still, it's dropped below 78. We don't know if it's going to go to 80, Nikhil. Yeah. So 5 billion, explain that for our viewers. What does this kind of money mean on the table?
So just to give you an idea, the first time that Sony had the rights, they got it at 8,200 crores for 10 years. And remember, now it's just going for 5 years. For 10 years, that was about 820 odd crores, 60 matches. So essentially, you were paying about 13.5 crore per game. Today, we're standing at 107, just between the two bouquets that we spoke about, that's TV and digital, which is, of course, a substantial number, but it'll also have the non-exclusive and all. So the number that we've arrived on is at 112.9 already.
112.9, wow. So when I came into this recording with you, it was 107.
So 107 is done, closed, sealed between two bouquets. But you have two more coming up. And if I was to just take the base price, if let's assume the non-exclusive and the international is just sold at the base price, you're still sitting on a number that's 112.9. That's almost 113 crore.
Very elementary question. 112 crore. Now, there are good-sized companies that do annual revenues of 112 crore. 112 crore revenue per match. Explain to a layman like me who doesn't know much about the maths of how the teams and the entire tournament makes its money.
Yeah.
Where do you get that kind of money?
Well, so let's look at the broadcaster because he's the one who's going to be paying this money. So there are multiple revenue streams. One, you have advertising, which is simple. Then they look at subscription. Then you got sponsors coming on board.
So can it mean, I'm interrupting you here, that for after every 1 over, there will be like 3 overs equivalent of advertising on
No,
air?
you can't do that. So that's the problem. The time doesn't increase. You have to finish the IPL game in that stipulated time. If you don't, the captain ends up paying a fine. So that time doesn't increase. The only way you can increase if you're paying that kind of money is by increasing the ad rates. Unfortunately, whatever I'm reading, the ad spend is also going a bit low, with a lot of unicorns struggling, as you would know. I mean, I was just looking at about 20,
There's a funding
25.
winter, except for the IPL, there's a funding winter everywhere else.
But I think I'll go back to that last cycle when it was sold at 16,500 crore. I remember spending a week just looking at all the ad rates, the 10% growth that you would see in digital and TV, and yet I could not come at a figure that would be or make it a profitable venture. And I think that was the case why you saw so many changes at Disney as well. Even at 16,500 crores, it didn't prove to be a profitable venture. But then,
so is this a case of irrational bidding?
It is, but I think the other things that they probably look at, and while I may be looking at as simply as a balance sheet of whether money going in and money coming out of it, I think essentially what they were also looking at. So I understand that Disney was trying to establish itself as a content player in the market, and if you're getting original content which is not cricket, they thought that because of the cricket subscriber base, my original content that I will push will also gain a lot of subscribers coming on board. Did not happen in that, which is why the entire top management changed. I think Woot is on the same course. I think Woot also got into, or Viacom 18 also got into sport business because they have a few sporting properties of their own.
Simple question: why would I watch a big screen format? It's a stadium, lots of people. If I can't go and watch a match physically, I would at least want to watch it on a large screen. Why would I want to watch cricket where I can hardly see the ball on my handset? Listen, I'm not trying to sort of be negative on the prospects of live streams and digital. It's just me, Nikhil.
But you can watch digital on the big screen. And I think that's the play that they're on. It's the OTT that they're working on. So, for example, I consume...
So, what he's saying, again, just to make it simple, you don't have to bother about a cable subscription.
Yes.
You could subscribe to a live stream from the app and still watch it on your internet-enabled, internet-connected, large-screen television. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, which is essentially cord cutting. I know that in the West, it's a big thing, and cord cutting has happened where people have gotten rid of television connection and they just survive on digital platform. It is gradually happening. Nobody thought that, I remember 10 years ago, they said, okay, maybe it'll be, 80-10 in favor of TV versus digital. Then it went down to 60-40, but now it's almost 50-50, almost at that same price. Digital has reached there. So digital is not the future, it's here.
So in this 5 billion, do we have a breakup of what the TV bit is and what the digital bit is?
Yes, so it's not, so in terms of 1,000 crore, TV has gone for 23,575 and digital is at 20,500. So nothing much to choose from. So it's almost at...
Does this also represent this number to you? A coming of age, it's around 12.5, 15% lower than TV. Does it represent a coming of age of digital for you from a sports business point of view?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed this. I would have said that TV is still going to rule. Digital doesn't come. In fact,
there was a time when live streams were free, not for cricket, but for various other sports. I remember globally also, nobody would even charge for them, or perhaps just a token amount.
In the IPL, I remember YouTube got into the rights to just do digital. That's when IPL just started, and Sony just was happy with TV, and they gave YouTube to do whatever they want on YouTube, and that was free. You're right, actually. Even IPL, we just forget. By the way, digital might still beat it because the non-exclusive is only for digital. If there is a heavy bidding, which at base price is about 1,000 crore, so that makes it about 21.5 thousand anyway. If there's a bit of bidding, so it's almost neck and neck. So in terms of TV
television and internet live stream are neck and neck. That also represents a fundamental change in the way at least cricket is being valued digitally. Now, mind you, and Nikhil knows this, cricket is in a valuation sphere of its own. Nothing else compares. So we should not make generalizations. As we wrap it up,
I'll give you some numbers, which is very interesting globally, where sports
which was my question. So how does this stack up globally?
So it's now number 2 in terms of per match. So I'm not looking at the total value.
Across sports?
Across sports, across nations.
Okay, headline once again. What Nikhil is saying, and Nikhil, correct me if I get this wrong. The IPL, the Indian Premier League, our own way of doing cricket with the Desi Tadka, is now the second largest sporting tournament in the world in valuation terms.
Absolutely. So per match, the only one that beats is NFL, that's American football, you know, the Super Bowl, which is massive. So that is at 132 crore per match. IPL comes in at second, which I'm counting at 112.9 in looking at the base price for C and B.
And these numbers
English
could change
Premier
a bit, so please bear with us.
English Premier League, which you would thought, which is massive, you know, English football is big, is at 85 crore per match.
Okay.
So the total evaluation may be more because far more matches, and that's an 8-month-long season.
So we took the game of cricket,
Yeah.
we converted it into a Desi game, and we have beaten the Brits, at least in terms of valuation, on the Premier League. That's great news.
Baseball you've beaten, which is the same as English Premier League. NBA basketball with all their stars at 15 crore per match, which just seems like a very small, tiny number looking at 112 that the IPL is.
Well, those numbers, Nikhil says, is tiny, but very clearly IPL is the biggest business on the block today. And with this latest auction for 2023 to 2027 panning out, a completely new benchmark has been set as far as the valuation of Indian cricket is concerned. But in all of this, you as the viewer should enjoy the game. And that's what we hope for from these 410 matches. And I really, for one, would hope that one could get to see at least a few matches physically after a couple of years and more of COVID disruptions. Nikhil Naz, thank you very much for that wonderful explanation here on this episode of Easynomics. If you've been, thank you very much for watching. Do like, share and subscribe. With that, it's a wrap on today's show. We'll come back with more. Till then, goodbye.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.